Normally at least a 7-day process, but I will give you a very quick summary because we don't have 7 days. Number one, we train people in a meditation technique, it is Vedic, to be able to go into a deep level of the unbounded mind. From there, we teach them a Vedic approach from the Sanskrit to remote view distant places. Once there is a lock on and seen an extraterrestrial vehicle, then we turn it into what we call a coherent thought sequencing, where we then connect to their people or their communication system, and then we use our own coherent thought sequencing like a laser to show them our exact location. For example, if we remote viewed and locked onto a craft that was say underneath a mountain here, we would show them where we are in this hall. But if they were way out in deep space, we would show them our galaxy, and then we would show them our solar system, which is on one of the outer spiral arms of the Milky Way galaxy. And then we would zoom into our solar system, and then we would zoom into the third planet from the sun, the Earth, and then we would zoom into Europe, and to the Iberian Peninsula, and then into Spain, and then into Barcelona, and then into Sitges, and then bam, zap, boom. Just like that. Yeah, but okay. And it's when you have a group of people doing this, we have never done it where we have not had contact. I will say this in some form.
Well, let us take a day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. Thank you for the co-creation of this interaction this day of your time. We have titled this transmission Changes in Your Upcoming Year of 2020 and How They May Affect the Window of Extraterrestrial Open Contact. Now, there is as you say on your planet, a lot to unpack in this subject. So, bear with us. This is an unusual transmission in a variety of ways, mostly because we often refrain from commenting too deeply on your political situations. It is usually not our purview to intervene, to interfere, to make too strong a series of comments about the way you have decided to run your planet with regard to your sociological, religious, and political structures.
So that's the first. The second, and that's the primary, because interstellar civilizations use technologies that interface with consciousness and thought, always. Or why they wouldn't use this junk. So, number two, because our minds may not be as accurate, we have some electronic signals that were recorded in the crop circles, and also when we made contact at Mount Shasta, there was a tone that came through that was extraterrestrial. And actually everyone in the group, about 30, 40 people, from the sound could see the form of the craft. It's sort of the Vedic concept of name and form, where the vibratory resonance forms the shape. But we recorded it on a little tape recorder, and so we now have processed that, and we're sending that out into space over radio signals from our site. And the third are lasers. We have rather high-powered lasers that you're not supposed to have. And we send those up as a vector point, because the one that I use will go 100 miles out into space. So we use all three of those things simultaneously. After we have prepared people to do this in a spirit of universal peace, without prejudice, without fear, and without any trying to pick and choose amongst these extraterrestrial civilizations, because this is a senior ambassador team. And even if you were to believe that some of them may not be friendly, you need an ambassador to North Korea and Iran more than you do to Great Britain. So my point is that this is the path of wisdom. This is what the CE5 initiative, as we call it, does. And we train people to do that. And you're all invited. We're going to be doing this on a mass contact thing in Arizona in October. And you can go to cseti.org and see what we're going to do. And also at Mount Shasta, that's full. But in Joshua Tree, where we've had so much contact in the national park, we'll be doing that in November. And that's also open. You can come to that as well if you would like. So those are the things. We do those 4 or 5 times a year for a whole week. And then we do smaller training programs. I wanted to do one here, but it got too, the time was too difficult to work out. Maybe someday I can come back and we can go out in the mountains together and practice this together.
The charged crystals that represent the idea of contact. These being the permission slip that have been entitled Ethithani contact crystals or seeds of contact. The idea being that on my world, this crystal represents the center point of a larger crystal array that is created to represent all of the consciousnesses and all of the worlds in the interstellar alliance of which we are a part and of which you are becoming a part.
Bashar has been in some sessions explaining more about his own life, his own experiences on his planet. When he was very young, he was shown a large piece of artwork that contains many different kinds of crystals, and each crystal represents one of the civilizations that's part of their association of worlds. Now, the central crystal he described is a hexagon that is dark green in color. It's larger than this, but this is basically a replica of that crystal as he described it to us. There is a symbol inscribed on the crystal, which is a triangular symbol that has a spiral in the middle of it. This symbol, Bashar described, is actually his family crest. It represents his family's lineage as contact specialists. So Bashar suggested that if we made replicas, even if they're smaller, of this central crystal, what he did then is he did a special meditation that actually comes with every crystal on a DVD that's for the purpose of charging the crystal with the specific frequency of contact. So when you have one of these and you use the meditation, it is actually charged with the particular frequency that represents his civilization and the particular frequency that represents their initial contact with us. Bashar has basically said that, charging one of these with your own energy and the energy that's in the meditation that he gave is kind of like casting your vote specifically for contact. So if you're interested in acquiring one of these, by all means, please ask the people at the back table to give you the information. It comes in this lovely box along, like I said, with the DVD. And so please check out the information at the back table.
Okay, and why is the contact crystal a hexagon?
It supports the idea, very specifically, that what is attached to it, around it, as the central hexagonal crystal, are 6 others, which represent the 6 hybrid races, and altogether the 7th. Earth being the 6th hybrid race. We are the 3rd. But altogether, the 6 and the 1 in the center will be representative of the 7th hybrid race, when all 6 hybrid races exist and blend together into the 7th. That's the core of our common evolution and what we share as family and where we're going into what you call the future. Together.
guys picked up one of your interesting little seed crystals for contact.
Yes.
I was curious if you could talk about that for a few minutes.
Again, the idea is that as a child in my world, I was shown the idea of a central hexagonal crystal that existed within a giant, large, artistic exhibit created by another contact specialist. The central crystal in that particular work is about, in terms of your size, about 3 feet across. The idea is that it is about the same color green, and around it are other crystals. Each crystal added to the central crystal, which represents the first contact of our civilization with another, represents all the other contacts of all the other civilizations we have come into contact with, and constantly grows as more and more civilizations join the interstellar alliance, as you call it. But the idea is that that central crystal is the seed crystal that carries the vibration of contact itself and is representative of my family lineage, along with other family lineages that are also steeped into the idea of being contact specialists. So not only does the idea specifically of that crystal carry the vibration, generally speaking, that is conducive to contact with other civilizations, that particular vibration is also very specifically connected to our world and my family.
Very nice.
So that is our way of welcoming you all to the family. As far as permission slips go, obviously, as was explained, this is specifically tapping into the idea, the archetypal collective consciousness idea that there is a particular frequency or vibration that represents the blending or connection between your civilization and other civilizations. That is one of the frequencies that is put into the charge, in a sense, that is represented by that particular idea, object, permission slip. Now, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to always use that idea, that object, because again, permission slips are what works for you. At the same time, and in conjunction with what we were saying earlier in this transmission, as to how there is really no separation between intention and action, between the physicalization, the physical act being that demonstrates and in a sense actually creates simultaneously the intention. The physical act of having a symbol of that nature, a permission slip of that nature, is similar to the idea of physically casting your vote for contact. So the more votes are cast in whatever way that occurs, in whatever form the permission slip feels right for you, the more we can tally those votes, because not just of the intention of wanting contact, but the actual physical act of physicalizing it in some sort of physical way, a physical symbol that is representative of a physical action you have taken that is actually the casting of a vote. And that vote resonates very strongly in your collective consciousness to us. So it really truly changes the vibration of your collective reality.
And one last question. Why is the contact quartz crystal green?
It is specific to the vibration of the heart chakra, because contact is from heart to heart.
Okay.
Though the minds may be different, though the body forms may be different, it is through the heart that we recognize our spirits are one. This is what is actually said before the crystals on our planet. Though minds may be different, though body forms may be different, it is through the heart that we recognize our spirits are one. This, in a sense, you might say, is a saying that is germane to first contact specialists on my planet.